Greetings and salutations, my friends, and welcome to a new video, or welcome if you are new. My name is Mel. Today we are going to look a little bit into my physical TBR, and while we won't be looking at every single unread book I currently own, which they all reside on this shelf right here, I am going to spotlight very specific books, popular books that I own that I have not yet read. I saw one of my favorite creators recently, Leah Crumpton, do a rundown of her stack of shame, stack of books that everybody talks about that she hadn't yet read, and I thought what a perfect way to talk about some of the books that I have in my physical TBR that I really haven't touched yet, I've been putting off, or maybe I've started and haven't finished yet, and I am not talking about A Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin, even though that is most definitely my most popular unread book on my shelves or halfway read book. We are not going to touch her today, but we are going to talk about some other books that I do own and have been putting off for the longest, because I know I am not the only one that buys up a couple books because they're popular and everybody's hyping them up and they sound so good, but at the time of opening them, sitting down and reading them, it becomes the most intimidating task ever. So I do have a list of 10 of those books to chat with you all today, and not only that, but to also look at the ratings overall. I was perusing the shelves and I specifically chose books that had over 100,000 ratings to kind of gauge it by Goodreads standard, which I know is such a subjective way to look at it, but maybe that'll dictate how popular or not they are by the masses and by the majority, especially readers who do use the platform. So hopefully that'll give us a little intel, a little closer look into how many people have actually read these and exactly what's happening on my shelves. And if you've read any of these and you need me to speed up the process, do let a girl know in the comments, because I would love to know if you guys have read any of these, if you have loved them, if you have got any popular books just sitting and rotting on your shelves. Also let a girl know, because let me tell you, you might already know, I have quite a bit of those. And we are first going to start out with a book that has over 105,000 ratings on Goodreads, a book that I did start a couple of years ago and then I never finished. I was really enjoying my time with it. I don't know what happened. I must have gotten sidetracked, which is something that happens more often than I care to admit, and that would be Alone with You in the Ether by Olive Blake. And if you notice anything about this copy, is that it is the self-published edition, which, kid you not, I hunted down so hard. Had it not been for one of my patrons who pulled in incredibly clutch and said, hey, I can list this up for you, you can buy it with the quickness and I can just ship it out your way, we definitely did so, and now I have got it and I've had it for a couple of years and I never finished the damn book. I remember this book being hyped back when the traditionally published edition had just gotten auctioned, it just gotten picked up, and everybody was losing their mind. Everybody was listing these editions for over $200, which was crazy. And with the way everybody was raving about this is definitely part of my stack of shame, as Leah called it. I think it's the perfect way to call this specific stack. In this book, we follow our main two characters, Reagan and Aldo, who meet by chance in the Chicago Art Institute. Both of these people lead very different lives and have very different circumstances surrounding them. Whilst Aldo, who is a doctoral student and battling his own internal destructive thoughts, we have got Reagan, who is a counterfeit artist who has bipolar disorder, currently undergoing some court-ordered psychotherapy. Both of these meet by chance. This one encounter seems to change their entire lives and seems to really ask the inevitability of meetings and how intrinsically having conversations with somebody that you maybe never expected to in the most unexpected ways can change your life. I again remember starting this book and being so hooked, thinking it was maybe a little pretentious, but fully loving the way that the characters meet and their conversations and how they just can't seem to escape each other's orbit, and that both of them were battling different circumstances, come from very different backgrounds. I really liked their own unique voices, so I definitely need to go back to this, see what's up, because this definitely launched Olive Blake to stardom. I know some people would argue that might have been the Atlas 6, but I think at the rate this book was being talked about a couple of years ago, I think we could argue this might have been the one, because I definitely heard about this book a lot more than I did the Atlas 6, although both of them were significantly popular, especially on TikTok. But this one though, I definitely have got to start over and finish once and for all. I have to be so honest with you guys. When I got this book, I realized it was popular in the booktube circles. I didn't realize just how popular this book ranks on my Goodreads physical TBR list. I did not realize this book had over 119,000 ratings, and that is A Winter's Promise by Christelle Davos. This is a French translated book. I'm not sure if it's fully fantasy, but it definitely seems to have a lot of politicking going on in its own plot. We follow our main character, Ophelia, who cares very little about others' opinions of her. In fact, she is very invested in her gifts, in her talents, of not only being able to read pasts of objects, but also being able to travel through mirrors. From what I gather in the synopsis, Ophelia doesn't seem to have known any other existence but that of a dull one and a very peaceful one in the Ark of Anima, where she has lived her entire life. That same peace is threatened when she is promised in marriage to Thorn, a very influential member from another clan of the Ark of Pole, and now together the two must embark on a journey to Cita Celeste where nobody can be trusted. And it is there that she seems to realize that she is playing a bigger part of a political game that she cannot quite comprehend yet, but she will. Back in 2020, when I entered BookTube, everybody was talking about this. This used to be one of those winter Christmas specials that everybody went to. I know this is a series, it's a quartet, and I remember everybody having such amazing things to say about the atmosphere, about the writing. I've even heard incredible things about the romance. I'm not sure if the romance actually develops between her and Thorn, or if there's another love interest. I just know everything about this book that I have been told, or that I have heard of, seems phenomenal, so I can't wait to go into this. And I was quite surprised to see just how many ratings this had on Goodreads, because I thought, again, it was like a social media favorite, but not much beyond that. So I was very pleasantly surprised to see that, and I think that's gonna push me to pick this book up sooner, because this has been on my shelves for quite a bit of time. Believe it or not, I have never read an S.A. Cosby book, and although this book has over 138,000 ratings, and I have had this on my shelves for quite a while too, I have not read this book, and I am desperately wanting to. I have heard so many amazing things about this author. Everybody I've seen read this book and his subsequent releases has had nothing less of incredible things to say. Everybody ends up crying, praising his prose, and praising more than anything his thought-provoking style. And I think all of those things seem like a recipe of success for me. I know in this one we follow two fathers who both happen to be ex-cons, Ike and Buddy Lee, and both of these fathers have one thing in common, and that is that both of their children were gay, and they married each other. Both of these fathers struggle to accept their sons' identities, and one day they get a knock on the door to let both of them know that both of their children have died. And now after their death, the two band together, having nothing more in common than criminal past and the love for their dead sons. And I just have to read the very bottom of the synopsis because it sounds so good. In their quest to do better for their sons in death than they did in life, these hardened men will confront their prejudices about their sons and each other as they rain down vengeance upon those who hurt their boys. Just reading that makes my hairs stand up. It gives me body shivers. It sounds so good, and I cannot wait to read this. I do have the audio for this, so I might alternate between the two. All I know is I am very excited to get this read, to read my first S.A. Cosby, because again, I have heard nothing but amazing things, and you guys more than anybody know how much I love an emotionally filled, charged read. Something that'll be, again, thought-provoking, that'll have me sobbing my eyes out, and something that will hopefully stick with me forever. So I can't wait to give this a read, and I will definitely put this in a vlog when I do, because I feel like it has to. I feel like this is the type of book that you just vlog about because you want to talk about it with people. So we'll get there when we get there. This next book has got over 145,000 ratings on Goodreads, and that is Spinning Silver by Naomi Novak, another book that I have had on my shelves forever. It's also a standalone, which I think it's perfect. I also know that this is a very wintry book, if you couldn't already tell by the cover. So I think between this and A Winter's Promise, I can make a little bit of a winter TBR to kind of set the vibe for end of year. I think it really would be perfect, even for just a single vlog, where we read something very thematic for the winter holiday season. This is a fantasy book, which you guys already know I love, and I more than anything love that it's a standalone, because sometimes, listen, reading a series can be quite time consuming, and I'm not quite good at it, even though I keep attempting. This is also a Rumpelstiltskin retelling, which I think is awesome. I don't know if I'm the only one that went through a Rumpelstiltskin obsession phase when Once Upon a Time came out. I don't know what needs to be observed psychologically to understand why exactly a lot of us had an obsession with this very, very not attractive man, but I was there and I was hooked with whatever they were doing. I was gobbling and eating it up. No complaints. And of course, on that Rumpelstiltskin note, we follow our main character Miriam, who is the daughter and granddaughter of moneylenders. Her dad, though, had an inability to collect his debt, which in turn made his family enter poverty. And now Miriam has decided to take over the family business and go around charging everybody every single penny that they owe her family. It then became a rumor that she is able to turn silver into gold just because of how good she is at the business. Those same skills get her the attention of the Starik King, a land full of grim, fake creatures that now summon her to be a part of an impossible challenge that will alter not only the human world, but also that of the Starik Kingdom. It sounds so fun. It sounds also like a very atmospheric read for the winter, and it might be my child brain chemistry being altered by Once Upon a Time because I was much too young. But yeah, anything Rumpelstiltskin sounds like a vibe, not gonna lie. So I am absolutely gonna try and read this year, and I think I'm gonna love it. Obviously, City of Brass is another really popular book I have on my shelves. I think that's a given. It has over 149,000 ratings, and I have been putting this off for a really long time, and you would notice a big problem if you were to look at this book. Whereas some of the other books I have shown you are either standalones or maybe the first book in a series. This is the first book in a series, but I also own the second, the third, and the novella. I own the entire thing, which you can imagine how that's an issue for me because I own an entire series without knowing if I'm actually going to like it. I also went out of my way and I got the UK editions a couple of years back, including the very hard to now find first edition UK hardcover of Emperor of Gold, which is the third book in the series. So you can see my problem right here in front of your eyes, and we must fix this expeditiously. We follow Nari, a con artist in 18th century Cairo, who strolls these streets lying to everybody. She does fake palm readings and SARS and healings, and everybody believes that the skills she says to have are all true. In one of these many dealings, she accidentally ends up summoning a djinn, which surprises her because this is definitely not a skill she tends to possess. But this djinn warrior also tells her that there is this wonderful magical city of Davabad waiting for her to arrive because she is intrinsically, irrevocably tied to it in some way, shape, or form. And as a non-believer, you can imagine just how shocking that is for Nari, who doesn't quite believe in magic and supernatural things, but also yearns to one day leave Cairo once and forever. I feel like I'm gonna have so much fun once I actually enter this world, so I just need to get off my butt and actually do it, because I feel this is the exact type of book I would love, and yet. We are making quite the significant jump between that last book and then this next one that has over 226,000 ratings on Goodreads, and that is Persepolis by Marjane Satrapi. That is a graphic memoir. I can't say I've ever seen one of those. However, Persepolis, it feels so weird to say Persepolis because my first instinct is to say Persepolis. Persepolis is such a popular book that I have owned for, I think, a little over a year now, maybe 2 years, and it's such a short read. I don't know why I haven't picked this up, but it honestly sounds like such a poignant, nuanced, powerful story told through comic strip, which I would assume is not the first thought when formatting a memoir, and I think this makes it stand out so much because it's so original and so different. It's also told through Marjane's eyes as a child, which I also think sounds super fascinating, and overall what I get repeatedly told is that this is just a must read. The memoir explores the life of the author from ages 6 to 14, living in Iran during the Islamic Revolution. Years that saw the overthrow of the Shah's empire, the Islamic Revolution, and also the war with Iraq. What makes the read even more fascinating is that not only was she very outspoken as a child, she was a child of Marxists, but she is also intrinsically connected to the history of Iran, being the great-granddaughter of one of its last emperors, which I think is so freaking fascinating. So definitely have to give this a read very, very soon. It's also, again, again, very short. It's graphic, which makes it such a faster read. And as far as required reading goes, I think this definitely makes the quota. So definitely have to get to it, I feel, before the year is over. Obviously, this author had to make their way in here with over 267,000 ratings. Brandon Sanderson with Warbreaker. That was a very underwhelming intro. I'm so sorry. I own quite a bit of unread Sanderson books, and this is definitely one that takes the cake as far as number of ratings go. If I don't count Mistborn, and I also don't count the Stormlight Archive, this is the next best option I have got for you. Hear me out. I have already read Words of Radiance. I am currently in the middle of Oathbringer, and this book is said to have needed to be read around somewhere before Words of Radiance. I didn't. I never follow the reading orders. I just read what I want when I want to, and so this will get read when I want to, when the time feels right. Apparently, and I don't remember doing this, apparently I started this at some point in time because there's like tabs in here. I don't have any recollection of that whatsoever, so we'll definitely have to redo it when we start. I think I got maybe 5 pages in because the last tab is on page 5, so not a whole lot of progress. A good note as well that I've always heard with Warbreaker is that this is one of the most romantic, if not the most romantic Sanderson book, which I think is very interesting. He definitely has romances in his books, but they're very much in the background, like the bar is in hell. But this will certainly be an interesting experience, especially as his standalones for me have not gone so well. Elantris I didn't like, and then Frugal Wizard's Guide, I DNF. I'm hoping Warbreaker can break this little curse we have got going on with Sanderson standalones, because it's not looking so good for our boy. Warbreaker, however, follows 2 sisters who happen to be princesses. The God King, one of them has to marry a lesser god, and apparently an immortal trying to undo a bunch of mistakes that they made hundreds of years ago. The world featured in Warbreaker says that everybody who dies in glory returns as gods. All this through biochromatic magic that is said to be used through a breath. That is the biggest, highest form of magic in this world, which can only be collected by an individual person, unit by unit. I really don't know what I'm getting myself into. I know a lot of people have had amazing things to say about Warbreaker. It seems to be, as far as standalones go, one of the most beloved Sanderson books. I have also seen a lot of people that don't generally tend to like Sanderson's writing really enjoy Warbreaker, so we'll see where I fall on, because his series are great for me. I love 3 of them. His standalones, though, I don't know what's happening, but maybe, just maybe, this will do what it has to do, and I would not be mad at it. Next up, with over 309,000 ratings, I have got Leviathan Wakes by James A. Corey, which I did not know was 2 different people. I thought it was a single person. I recently found out through researching for this video that it is 2 very different people, and that shocked me. I can also say with confidence, this series is goddamn intimidating. I own this book and I really want to read it, but the series is so long, and I don't tend to read sci-fi, but when I do, I really enjoy it, and you can tell there is an internal dilemma going on whenever I pick up this book, because I really want to read it, love it, enjoy it, fall in love with it. But the series is eternal. In The Expanse, humanity has colonized the entire solar system. Mars, the moon, the asteroids, the belts, but the one thing that still seems out of reach is the stars, who I assume is our main character. Jim Holden is an ice miner making the runs with his crew, and one day by chance they stumble across a derelict ship called the Scopuli, where they find a secret that people would kill for. The reveal is said to be so massive that it is unfathomable how much conflict this secret will cause, to the point where war could brew in the system to get a hold of what they find in this ship. The synopsis also mentions other characters and other POVs going on alongside Jim and his crew, but that is all I need to know because it sounds so good. I have heard amazing things about the adaptation. I have got people on Patreon and Discord who rave about this. I, in general, just see so many people mention this book in so many like top favorite books of all time lists, and so I need to get on it. I know also Reagan, who I've been watching for the longest time, also loves the Expanse series. I feel like it is due that I actually give this a read. This edition is stunning. Anytime I see the pink sprayed edges, I think it's so cunty. I love it. I think it's fun. Quite a big jump here as we are headed into the millions now. You heard that right. 1.1 million. In fact, over that. Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. Listen, I underestimated how many reviews, how many ratings this book had. I knew it was somewhat popular when I got it. I know it's been somewhat relevant since I've had it on my shelves. I just did not think it had over 1 million ratings. I don't know, when I was researching on the shelves, a lot of the books that I thought would be very popular didn't really have much over 30 to 50,000 ratings. And then here comes this book. And I don't know if it's because it's a read with Jenna pick. I genuinely have got no idea. But this astounded me when I saw the amount of ratings listed on Goodreads. But this book does sound very interesting. I bought it because of that reason. I read like the first little chapter prologue situation, and it sounds so cool. We follow our main character Tova, who in the wake of her husband's death ends up working at an aquarium as a janitor. Keeping busy has always helped her cope, especially after her 18-year-old son ends up going missing on a vessel that he was on. And it is in this very same aquarium that she ends up befriending an octopus, Marcellus, who some way somehow seems to have figured out exactly what happened to her son, and he is trying to figure out how to best communicate this to her so that she can get some peace of mind over what exactly happened. Honestly, the reader world is an amazing place. I am still in shock. I am so happy she's doing successfully, but that is crazy. Over 1 million reviews and ratings. Was not expecting that out of this little book, but I hope it'll live up to that expectation. Over 1 million people. And the book that, to my knowledge, is the highest rated on my shelves, not counting classics or specific series that I know are highly rated. I wanted to highlight maybe things that I've been putting off for a while. That is The Book Thief by Marcus Cusack. This book has over 2.8 million ratings on Goodreads, which I also did not realize. I probably should have, because I know this is required reading in some schools and some countries. I know this is a highly beloved book as well. I have heard of people that reread this book every year. It seems to be quite a fan favorite and quite a popular one. And this has been sitting on my shelves for, I think, a little over 4 years now, which is crazy. Narratively speaking, one of the most interesting parts of this book is that it is narrated by Death. Outside of Death by Terry Pratchett, which is a very different circumstance, I can't really say I have read a whole lot of books or seen a whole lot of books that feature Death as a protagonist or maybe as a narrator. So I think this is a very unique storytelling perspective that I honestly am very interested to read about and see exactly what it pans into. I know the story is set in 1939 Nazi Germany, and we follow our main character Liesel, who is with her foster family on Himmel Street. Her parents were taken away to a concentration camp, and specifically it is said that she steals books and that the story follows not only her own narrative but that of the inhabitants of her neighborhood. From what I remember, I don't think our school ever made us read this book, though I know other schools in Panama do have that as required reading. So it's going to be very interesting to read it now outside of potentially a school setting, which I know again is a very popular setting to read this in. So I'll report back when I do get to this, but again, sitting on the shelves for a long time, and the amount of ratings this has is literally sky high. So now you know it, friends. This right here is my stack of shame, the very popular books that I own that I have not read yet, that have sat on my shelves for, I think, all of these in their entirety, more than 1.5 years, which is a long time. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up down below, and also let a girl know in the comments if you have read any of these books. What are some popular books that I also own that you see on the shelves that I have not read, or what are some that you own that you've been putting off for forever? We can stand here in solidarity together, putting off our required reading, if we will. So do let me know if you can relate in any way, shape, or form to postponing those very popular reads, because they're extra intimidating. And if you reach the very end of the video, let us leave some rainbow emojis for Warbreaker, since the whole magic system is based on everyday colors from everyday objects. I think that's very fitting. So make sure to leave some rainbows down below if you reach this point of the video, and subscribe down below if you haven't done so already. I also want to give a huge shout out to my patrons for supporting the channel and being so amazing and so supportive of what we do over here. If you ever want to support the channel further, get some some extra content and live shows and Discord chats. Patreon is always linked down below, and it is the best way to support the channel outside of watching the videos, engaging with them, commenting, giving the thumbs up, and all the regular go-to things that you are very familiar with. So that is always linked down below in case you guys want it. I love you guys so, so much, and I will see you on the next one. Goodbye!